And hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm going to set up my iPad so I can see the boys and girls. And we're continuing on the Union campaign. Oh, no, let's go back. Let's load this bad boy up. You can see, pretty easy on medium difficulty right now. We're going to go through the harder stages of the Union campaign, which is Gaines Mill and the next main battle. But before we do that, we have some minor skirmishes to do. So the big trap for a lot of new Union players is they'll focus max on politics and they won't build up their armies for the future battles, meaning they'll be severely outnumbered. But you can get to on par at this stage if you do focus on army organization and things that affect. So we're going to do the first minor skirmish, rendezvous. Rebel forces moving to Hanover Courthouse, trying to attack our right. You will lead one division to deal with the threat. Reserve units have already been dispatched to join you because we need every man available for the assault on the rebel capital. That is all the help we can send. So we're still 1861, 1862 now. And so the battles are still pretty small scale and they're still quite fluid. But you'll see once we get to 1864, a lot of the mission levels will become basically meat grinders for the Union. And that's how they sort of balance it out, being that your Union campaign will be particularly difficult or challenging in terms of manpower, but will be challenging in terms of the situations you find yourself in. So we're going to immediately move up and capture this objective. And you can see some sort of artificial limitations as well in terms of the skirmishes, keeping the battles rather small scale right now, limiting the amount of men you can bring to the field, so you have a greater challenge when you face the Union divisions and Union corps. This stage you can still see I'm using my first corps, so they're really well equipped with some pretty decent weapons now. And so we shouldn't have any real difficulties on this level. Like you can see the equipment now, you've got Lorenz's, Springfield M1855s, rifled muskets, mini bowls, really good weapons. But you see the Union numbers right now are particularly large, mostly as a result of the damage we inflicted in previous battles. And of course the mechanics of this skirmish, meaning that these units aren't particularly strong. I suspect they're free spawns for the Confederate AI. I'm just going to keep on microing, making sure we don't rout too much. And we hold the position as long as possible until our reinforcements arrive. I'm going to see if I can withdraw Stockton and move up our reinforcements. And in fact, I'm going to see if I can reform my lines a little bit so we don't suffer from such excessive damage being inflicted upon us. Now if I can, I'll get these guys to retreat, but they're probably going to rout. Well, we've suffered the rebel onslaught now, and it's just a case of mopping up. We've got the better equipment, we've got the better guns. This should not be too much of a problem, as long as our troops decide to micro correctly. £10 ordnance, not bad, not good. Pretty average. With our supply wagon over there. Lorenzes, which are good, so we're good in terms of combat. We've got the high manpower. It should be a pretty easy open and shut battle. A lot of these battles are like this. You'll start off with early limitations, making the challenge quite difficult. But if you hold your own, your reinforcements will arrive and you can go on the attack. A nice attempt by the skirmishers, but sadly not a particularly good one. Because the AI is smart enough to, the AI brigades are smart enough to turn around. We're getting to that sort of critical mass now in terms of equipment and that, especially for our first brigades. It's just about getting out the rest of our army, make sure they're also on par. Few wounded in action, such as Stockton. Well, apart from that, we're pretty good. And they won't attack anymore because they haven't got the resources to do so. The AI is again pretty smart in that regard. Once their manpower is too limited, they'll just send up any sort of passive or organized formation. Another victory, not many casualties, pretty low scale engagement. Immediately upgrade our troops back to 1,500. Upgrade our guns. Let's increase all our manpower. Upgrade this fellow. And make another division. We got a couple of parrots, so we might as well equip these bad boys up. And I'm going to put 1 point in Army Org this time. So I can make these guys a bit larger if I need to. Plenty of money in the bank. Guess what that means? More money, better guns. Lorenz, Springfield, Palmetto, Springfield, Palmetto. Let's see if I can get these up to, say, something a bit healthier. It looks like I can't. It looks like I'm limited now on Springfields, which is a shame. I could go for the Harper's Ferries, but they're very expensive, so we're not going to bother. So yeah, we're not going to bother with that. I'm going to move on to the next battle. Secure the river, why not? Army is preparing an offensive operation in Virginia territory. You've been assigned to advance ahead and secure the river passage for our reinforcements to move from the northwest. Our scouts reported that significant rebel force under General Bragg has deployed on a hill, need to siege position and eliminate the rebel threat. 2 ironclads will support your advance. This is a bit of a harder battle because the enemy is going to be a rather healthy cover, which is going to make things a bit harder for us. But fingers crossed, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And the trick with this battle is encirclement. I'm going to move our cannons up as close as possible. Move our supply up and wait out. So we've got 2 ironclads in this set-piece battle, but they're not going to be doing a lot because they're not going to be. We're going on the offensive, so they're going to be pretty counterproductive. Sadly, I didn't get these guys up to full strength, much to my irritation. But hey ho. Cannon's going to stop. Going to stop movement there. Stop movement there. Stop movement there. Get these guys to run. And turn this way. Going to slow down the engagement just a little bit so I can see what's going on. And do our flank. Stop the supply wagon running away. They do love a good little runaway, these supply wagons. I'm going to begin starting to pressure the flanks. Doing this fire maneuver. Slow speed, not going to run it. And use this sort of hill to our advantage. We've got the best weapons right now, so something we really don't have to concern ourselves with. We've got ourselves a nice little chain route. I'm going to start running my guys up to get rid of that cannon. I'm going to move my own cannons up nice and close. And we've pushed most of them out of this hill, out of this territory, which is great for us. It is a case where you can see them and how maneuvering can really change the course of a battle. If I'd tried to do frontline pushing, then it would have gone badly, badly wrong. You would have just ended up in a slog. And that is an easy, well, very easy capture. And it's also a way you can manipulate the enemy army to push them off a position. Of course, if you've got units to the south, they can't retreat eastwards, they've got to retreat northwards, giving you that extra time. Oh, giving you that extra space to be successful. And this is just the counter charge, but nothing we can't handle at this stage. As long as we bring that artillery up, nothing they do now is going to be enough to stop us. And an easy victory, not many casualties. Altogether, a short skirmish. Which allows us to build up our forces even more. So with that army org, I can go up above to 2,000 size corps. not recommended. Also, in terms of meta, if you start going above, say, 1,500, the AI rubber banding will be exaggerated rather significantly. So you don't want to get too large an army, because then then the AI balance will stack against you. The cannons always get logistics on their first phase, so they spend less ammunition. You'd have to be particularly accurate with your troop sizes. As long as you're getting around 1,500, you're good. So I'm going to add one more to Army Org. This will hopefully allow us to make another artillery. Let's go for 10-pound ordnance. Infantry, what guns can we get? Harper's Ferries, 33,000. That's quite expensive, but yeah, for now we're going to reduce our expending us a little bit, because we want to fill up manpower before we upgrade. Which we have. So the next thing we're going to invest in will be, of course, politics, to get even more manpower, even though we're already on politics 9. So already we've got 22.5% extra recruitment and 22.5% extra income. So politics is a must, especially as Confederacy. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. They're spending a little bit of money on supply, nothing too much. This will lead us to the final battle before the actual main battle of Gaines Mill, where we have to hold 7 Pines. We'll start the campaign before we do this. While our army is preparing on the outskirts of Richmond for the final assault against the rebel capital, lol, we received an attack to our force south of the Chickahominy River at 7 Pines. The rebels' initiative seems successful, and our line is almost broken at the centre. We need to act immediately, reinforce and stabilise our front line. A nice, comfy, defensive first map. The situation is critical. Rebels will attack our divided force and destroy them in detail. Advance the division, reinforce the centre of our line and stabilise our battlefront. The rest of your force will take positions north of the Chickahominy River. So you have a lot of free spawns, and you're just basically bolstering those free spawns. You want to hold where the holes are, and in doing so, you should win the battle. It's pretty set piece, pretty easy to do. Shouldn't be too difficult. We should also receive reinforcements at a certain stage of the battle. But of course, the centre is the most important part. So that is where we're going to send the bulk of our force. We won't be able to do much to support the north. Then go straight in and hold this boy. We're also going to send in our reserves under Sinclair, hopefully protect our cannons. And move up our cannons on the centre to create that shotgun effect. I'm going to start bending. Sometimes it's all about improvisation as well, because it's got a fast-paced RTS, so if you see like there's no enemy troops on your left, you can start turning the flank. this stage we know our respawns are pretty bad. They're pretty bad state, so we're going to start moving up our own troops to bend the line and push these guys off. Really, it's just the flanking maneuvers. Grand Tactician just more arcadey. Okay, we've got enemy troops coming up behind us. Let's charge that and stop that happening. Sadly, we could not stop that happening. I'm going to start retreating back now because you want at least a 2-to-1 ratio in terms of firepower. That's why having 3,000 size brigades is sometimes not a good idea, because you're not going to get that 2-to-1. Better to have more brigades have a weaker strength on the field than it is to have 3 or 4 big brigades, because again, with 2 brigades you can fire on 2 things at once. With 1 brigade you can only fire on 1 thing at once. So it makes a lot more sense if you think about it. Have the 1,500 sized brigades. Until you got so much manpower, it's no longer a concern. We're going to keep our guy here because it's not Grand Tac. These guys will be back. The only time you can comfortably believe they're not coming back is once they break and they lose the icon. So we're starting to see some maneuvering by the Confederate troops. I may even move forward to crush this. And there you go, a nice little route. Skirmishers are really good for flank micro, but if you're not microing them, all it takes is 1 volley from a brigade, and they're gone basically. They can only take 2 or 3 volleys before they just mass rout. So I'm going to start re-bending the line. As they continue to maneuver, but I think the time's going to be on our side. So it's not a concern. And an easy victory. Again, you can see already Confederate manpower is not very good, but it will increase as the game goes on. It normally increases up to, say, Gettysburg and starts to rapidly decline. And then advantage is their defensive battles, because you'll be fighting mostly offensively until Gettysburg, and then after that it's just going to be offense, offense, offense. So all our guys once again fully up. Let's go once more into Army Org. So I can add another division. Upgrade to about 1,500 men. And add ourselves some artillery. Let's go for the howitzer, why not? And then we'll add the Farn Infantry Corps. Oh, wait, we need to upgrade these guys first. Make sure all our other corps are pretty healthy before we upgrade anymore. Manpower's a limiting factor, so we'll go into politics next. But for now, we need to upgrade our guns. No longer want Springfields, we want anything but Springfield, so maybe a Harper's Ferry, but we can't afford it because we're really dirt poor right now, so that's the best we've got. Still a really strong army for the current situation. Because we won all these victories, and because we won Shiloh, the army size of the Confederate force will be -5%. Defeat to -25, draw +1, and victory +15. This would be a battle that it's really quite hard for the Union to win, especially if you're starting from scratch. But with previous knowledge from overplaying this game, it's pretty easy to win. So our armies participating in General McClellan's invasion of the Virginia Peninsula. The Confederates' aggressive maneuvers were not expected. General Lee, instead of using his force to defend versus a much larger army, ordered a concentrated assault towards the right flank of the invasion force. We began to withdraw to the south. After a few miles' march, we must prepare a strong defensive line across the Botswain Swamp in an effort to stop the Confederate advance. You will have one full corps at your disposal and some extra units in reserve. The rest of the Union's defences are needed elsewhere. So there we have it. We've pretty much ticked all the boxes in terms of getting as much manpower onto the field as possible, and that is good for us. Forces are executing a tactical withdrawal. Objective is to hold the line along the Botswain Creek. Rebels are currently marching towards our location and preparing for a major assault. Unknown enemy numbers may attempt to surround us from the northeast. We must hold our position and not allow the Confederates to pass through, otherwise the army will be in great danger. The only reinforcement we expect are a few elements of our own corps. The rest of the Union forces must hold a defensive line against a possible rebel attack from the west. The rebels are pursuing us and coming down the road. We must buy time. Which you don't actually do, you just run. Run. Keep these guys here actually as a reserve. So this level is a bit of a trick level, again, for new players. The defensive positions here are not very good, and in fact you'll take more casualties from trying to hold defensive positions than you will from actually holding behind it. And so what you want to do is just hold behind a position, especially here. Over here you can potentially hold a defensive line there, but elsewhere it's not recommended. But if you are desperate, and I mean desperate, to have extra troops or to man those positions, you can use skirmishers instead by clicking T, and these guys will hold the front. This also works in your favour because that means the Confederates will charge the positions, and then you'll be able to get a volley in on them while they attack the skirmishers. So I've kept these guys there just to hold hold the artillery. Once the artillery gets back, we can withdraw. And we have a nice strong line here as a form of defense. Just about getting those cannons back. You don't want to lose cannons, they're very expensive to replace. But you can see the numbers of Confederates is still pretty high. This is why we've kept some infantry brigades here, just to slap back any troops that do decide to bully our cannons. Once they're through the swamps, we'll be fine. It's just about getting them out. Make sure we screen the skirmishers. Don't want them getting into our cannons. And with the skirmishers screened, we can now retreat Hinselman, who's done a very good job. Well done, Hinselman. We're going to move one artillery over here. I'm going to hold the other artillery right here. And then we should do a bit of cheeky micro here just to push these guys off. Relocate our supply wagon. See, as you can see, these defensive positions are not very good. They've got greater range, and your guys are going to take a lot of casualties trying to hold them. The juice is just not worth the squeeze. And there we are, nice and set up. Good retreat. Everything's retreated intact. Skirmishers are there to buy time. They're not really of any value. And now we hold and we wait. Good old Greg. Now if we want to be cheeky, we can start abandoning these positions. And we can wait. What we want to do is get them to cross the river. Right now they haven't attacked. This probably tells me that their numbers aren't high enough, which is good. But I do have to worry about that flanking maneuver that will be coming soon. So that's going to move over there. And that's why you don't put troops on the defensive positions. Just let them come. Even if they take the first position, you can push them back off after. And just to be on the safe side, we'll relocate our artillery over here as well, just in case they do try a cheeky push on that sector. They have to push us, so this works in our favour. We've got the range because our guns are better. There's no need to throw troops away. And we'll send mildly over here. Oh, 1 second, guys. It's someone on the phone. And so we had to pause for a bit. So we've got our reinforcing corps. That's coming up. But you can tell already at this stage I've got this well under control because I've built my army properly. The key problems which you'll find early on as the Union is you don't put points where they matter, and that will screw you over. But because I've put my points in decent in building my army, I've preserved my force. I really don't have to worry. So we'll move up the troops, but I'm going to move them up to the north here to protect the northern front. If I don't, I run the risk of potentially getting pushed off by the Confederate reinforcements. But once we get our cannons in the central position, we can start really making damage and pushing off the Confederate troops. I don't even think I need to hold both positions, no. Oh, I don't even have to hold this, I can just retreat. And just wait for these guys to push up. And then just let the cannons do the work. And use the excessive range on my palmettos. This isn't too concerning. It's only one unit and my guys are holding. But they'll reform in a second and not much damage has been done to us. At this stage, this is where you're going to be a bit concerned because this is where the flank is coming from. They're going to start retreating back. In fact, we're going to move forward a bit to see if we can recapture this objective, which we can. Again, 2 brigades, so 1 can pin, 1 can counterfire, and we're not going to take too much damage. Gonna move our supply wagon, but we can't because they took too much casualties. Did you use the rebalance mod? No, I haven't. I don't even know it exists. But what does the rebalance mod do? Does it do something good? I guess it rebalances it. Makes the fire less lethal and stuff to rebalance the game. Oh, and does some AI tweaks. Okay. Would you recommend it? I may do that next time I play. Did you? Did it make the game easier or harder? Or does it just change the game a little bit? There we go. Hopefully it should be a contained Confederate advance on the right. I have noticed those cannons on the left, but there's not much I can do about it. And then move these guys out of the river, because that's where they're going to take the most casualties. Harder at the beginning, but easier as you progress. It's not really a difficulty thing, it's just a tweak. Personally makes me more like, okay, so hopefully it makes it less arcadey. Our reinforcements are here. This will contain the Confederates now. It's just like a flavour thing, so it changes the way the game feels, so that's good. But I think I will do that next campaign, probably Confederate campaign, because I've already started this campaign. That's if I continue playing it. So I'm not going to push again until my cannons are in position. And then we're going to start doing some maneuvers. And hopefully get that supply wagon over here as well to fix that. And I think I'm going to have to send 2 corps to hold here, because they are beginning to get rather aggressive on that left. Perk skill got changed. Now the fatigue stuff is really a thing to see. It's more about good unit than getting 200. Okay. Legit. Perks have impact. Understood. Understood. So we have had a Confederate charge from the left, but that's been rather easily countered. The cannons are moving in, the supplies moving in. Everything is in a good spot right now. Midgie. Alright, next Confederate campaign. Well, after the Confederate campaign after this, we will play with the mod. I may have to add it to favourites before I leave as well. I'll add it to favourites for once I end the stream. So it was a bit hairy, but as you can tell, it's really a numbers game. Once you wear down the initial numbers of the Confederates, you're in a good spot and you can continue on your counterattack. There is some cheese you can do, like mass encirclements towards the end of the battle, but it's not really worth doing. I mean, it is worth doing, but it's too cheesy for the balance. So we're going to start moving forward in our classic manner where we just discard human life. Attempted counterattack, nothing I can't handle. Immediately going to start diverting assets to contain it. It should eventually cause them to rout, and if it doesn't, then, well, poo-poo. Yeah, a massive charge on the left, but containable, fixable, no problem. Some routes, some casualties, nothing too bad, easy victory. 36,000, 4,000 casualties, and then 19,000 is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a case of making sure your armies are the right size for this battle and making sure you've got your reinforcements in the right place to contain when they assault. Once that's done, you're living on easy street. This is the sort of casualty figures you'll want when you play the Confederacy campaign. So units, in terms of kills, 1,600 for Mersey, only 300 dead. Officers, 2 wounded, no deceased, and a lot of captured goods. And we'll immediately upgrade to 15,000 men per army. But we are starting to spiral, if you see as a Union campaign. Our manpower is starting to spiral into excess. So you have to bear that in mind when you play the Union campaign. That you are eventually going to be extremely powerful. Whereas the Confederate campaign, even on normal difficulty, it can be a real challenge because of the ridiculous size of the Union force compared to your own. So we are slowly but surely getting our training up for our forces. I'm going to actually use veterans on this to not lose that perk and keep that quality of command. Going to make sure we have a good commander. And let's generally upgrade all our troops. This can be a tedious part of the battle because you're just sort of doing the admin after. Which, of course, Grand Tack does automatically for you, so you don't have to worry about it. But still, not too bad. Upgrade our howitzers. Cannons good, always. People underrate the cannons, but as the game once they get to a certain level of experience, they're extremely powerful. So you do want to use cannons, even though early on they look like they're not doing a lot to help you. Not a lot of casualties for these armies, for these troops. In fact, very few casualties for these troops. Easy points. Okay, so we'll add the final core. Inflate our army size even more. Maybe actually do more cannons. Three, four, five. And actually do a cavalry corps, why not? Do a cavalry corps or a cavalry division, which you want to make as large as possible. If you've got the money to do it. Which I have. There we have an elite cavalry corps, which is extremely expensive, and I wouldn't recommend doing this. So money's the limiting factor now, not manpower. And so what we need to do now is maybe pull some strings, get $50,000, which isn't a lot, and upgrade our weapons. So palmettos, no one really likes palmettos. Let us go for instead Mississippi rifles, which we can't, we don't have enough. Lorenzes. Let's go get some Lorenzes. Palmetto, let's give these guys some palmettos. And that should be that. Career-wise, we'll put 1 point in politics, and then we'll put 1 point in economy to make things cheaper for us. Now we're going to get 25% more income and recruitment, making us very, very powerful for the next engagement. So if we save the game. And put even more logistics in. As you can see, we are running out of ammo rather quickly. And then go to the battles map. So Malvern Hill, this is quite an interesting one because you immediately move on to the next phase of the battle. There's no skirmishes after Gaines Mill. You go straight to Malvern Hill, which is again a very difficult level if you haven't built your armies very well for the Union. This is normally where you get to the lose point of the Union campaign. This is a first gatekeeping period of the campaign to see if you've built your armies properly. But after this, it should be pretty easy to get to Antietam. So after the Battle of Gaines Mill, General McClellan has been convinced that the Peninsula campaign cannot last any longer. The main camp of the Union Army has been set up at Harrison's Landing to prepare for the withdrawal. Under the safety of his ironclads, General McClellan organized his last resort defense at Malvern Hill, choosing you for the command. General Lee is not pulling back. He gambles and decides to attack the heavily fortified position in an attempt to bring a decisive end to our operations near Richmond. So we have a healthy chunk of men on each side, and this is basically a frontal wave charge for the first stage of the engagement. Your job is to hold the front wave as long as possible until your reinforcements arrive. Rebels are determined to defend their capital, and the army cannot take any more of a beating. The bulk of the Union Expeditionary Force has no more strength to continue. The majority of our army is embarking at Harrison's Landing and embarking. The best ground to defend is Malvern Hill. It would be crazy if the rebels decided to attack the west side of Malvern Hill for the swamps and rugged terrain, but we must be cautious. And we consider the west side safe from assaults too, as a small river and high cliffs should discourage an attack. This is in fact a lie. They will attack from both sides, so you do have to be concerned about this. General, Malvern Hill is an impressive defensive location, and the Confederates are going to receive a hard beating if they insist upon attacking. Let them come and take what they deserve. Expect the main force to arrive, blah blah blah. Watch out for the artillery. And here's the defensive positions. So we're going to move out our infantry as much as possible, and we're going to get rid of a spare infantry corps because we want the cannons deployed up close and personal. As many cannons and many defensive lines. The reinforcements will then come and protect our flanks. So we'll start the battle now. So we're immediately going to move to defend these positions and move these guys, move these cannons into protect the rear. These guys are going to move up behind. And the cannon's going to move as close to the position as possible without taking their own casualties. And we will try and make basically a shotgun corridor. So if anyone does try to counterattack or attack us, our shotgun cannons attack them back with grape shot, and we push them back off the position. Now you can already see the flanking maneuver coming in, but we can't do anything about it at this stage. So we just have to wait. I'm going to move my general on the right, because these guys are going to get pounded by enemy cannons now. And so I want their morale to remain as high as possible. But strength is still pretty high, but they are starting to lag, as you can see, on the 1,600 mark, some of their units. I'm going to retreat this unit back just a little bit, so they can fire in once our reinforcements arrive. This is basically a bottleneck map. They'll charge, and they're going to try and break through you with your limited manpower. That causes the first rout with the cannons. Our troops have been pushed back. Now our cannons are going to take a pasting. We're going to move our next batch of cannons up and basically run our troops up as quick as possible. These guys are going to hold the hill, stop these guys crossing. And everything else is going to run to the defense of the central positions. It is basically a glorified attrition map. But as long as you hold, as long as you've got cannons nearby, you should be alright. We should get reinforcements soon, so let's not be too concerned just yet. And we're moving straight in to re-protect this objective. We've lost the woods, so there's no point continuing to engage. It's just going to be a meat grinder. So what we want to do instead is relocate the cannons, relocate our supplies. And let's make a nice, healthy artillery wall. This is where your artillery really does come into play. And if you've been building the artillery right, and you've actually got enough artillery, you can be that force multiplier that pushes back a larger force. More reinforcements have arrived, so immediately these guys are going to move down. They're going to take one to protect here, because there will be a Confederate flank. And then the other lot will move down to secure the left. Or secure the centre. And of course the cannons are moving up as quickly as possible. To add that force multiplier. These guys have routed, so we're going to use these guys to hold the river crossings. And this guy is actually going to move over here just in case they do try any cheeky flanks. Unlikely the AI usually flanks this deep, but it's always a possibility, and you don't want to lose just because of a ghost cap. So they've tried their first assault and they have broken, but what you're doing is you're just wearing them down via attrition. Now that the reinforcements are here, we can slowly start turning the tide. And they're already starting to become a lot more passive, as you can see. There's no more really massive charges because they realise the balance of power is no longer in their favour. You can do some really cheeky things here and do like a mass left flank and pin him against this river, but it's just again you're making a very easy game already, even easier as the Union. And you don't really want to do that. And the last of our reinforcements are coming in, but at this stage we don't need them. How the battle should go is you should be broken, you should be retreating on panic, and then the reinforcements come to save the day. Because the armies are too well built, this isn't a problem. Now here you can do a lot of cheese. You can see that opening. I can start moving around and pinning these armies and get mass surrenders. I'm actually tempted to do it just for the memes. So I'm going to start solidifying the left. And bringing troops on the right. Oh, you're taking forever, boys. Nah, we're good. This is a nice, comfortable position. I'm going to start putting pressure on and see if I can do that sweet encirclement. This is where you want to do the advance and shoot mechanic. You don't want to run or sprint your guys. You want to take your time and just slowly start pushing forward. And here your cannons are slowly wearing these guys down. This is where the AL made a mistake thinking they're still in a position to attack when they're not. Keep some guys in reserve just in case things do go wrong. We can slowly just start grinding forward, bringing the cannons along. Cannons will start attacking the flanks because we're pushing slowly forward. And start relocating some troops to the right because the right's starting to take a bit of damage. And it started slowly descending into chaos, but good chaos, not bad chaos. Perhaps I should have waited until the next stage where I get more reinforcements, but damage is done now. And that's another route. And it looks like they're moving to contain me as well, which is problematic. So now we wait. This turns into a slaughter, but I don't care because I'm OP as hell. And I can afford to lose troops, whereas the Confederacy can't in this campaign. And that's the first break of the Confederate troops on the left. Another charge. Another route. My guy's going to move in to fill the gap. Oh, I didn't win. Didn't get the route. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to slowly start peeling on the left and then flanking round. Now I reckon I could have achieved this with if I'd been weakening the Confederacy throughout by wiping their armies, but I haven't been doing that. So hey ho. Still, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to break through and slowly start coming around. A bit longer, I could have done that, but sadly not in this case. A lot of wounded boys, but nothing I can't handle. And nothing I'm too worried about at this current stage. Like, manpower-wise, we are sitting pretty on manpower.
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir.
Sadly, this is my own doing. I could have had a really elite army, but I decided to get greedy. And this is how things can slowly start going wrong, is when you start at over losing men. And then, of course, it stacks. So the next battle, you don't have enough men, so you start losing more men, and so on and so forth. Of course, you can LARP and have the right people in charge, but I never do. And now my guy can level up to stage 2. So what do you want here? You can have artillery, infantry, or cavalry. And I would recommend infantry because, of course, infantry is your bread and butter. So that's why you want an infantry army. How many casualties I take here? Nothing I can't handle. Like, even with the level of casualties, it doesn't affect me in the slightest. That's the great thing about the Union campaign. It is definitely a beginner-friendly campaign where you learn a lot from your mistakes and you can come back from it. Like, if it was a Confederate battle, then this could potentially make me lose the game like 20 battles in because I didn't have enough men. But then again, this is medium difficulty and not hard. Even then, hard isn't very hard. So everything's leveled up. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. And yes, 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 yes. So what we need to do now is we need to spend money. So I will spend some on medicine. So I get some casualty trickle back. And some in economy. So my weapons cost less. And then I'll start upgrading my boys. So this is going to be my cav core. My potato core. My rather expensive cav core. Because cav is expensive. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying. Like, cav is over expensive for what it actually brings to the table. Like, look at that, it's so expensive. It doesn't bring a lot to the table, cav. Apart from if you want to poach some supply wagons, but even then, you don't really need to as the Union. $1,500, 1,500, artillery, howitzers, yeah, whichever's the most in stock. And 1,500. So my limitation is money right now, so I'm going to spend some of my political power on some cash. And then once I've fully upgraded my force, or I've used up all the manpower, we'll start upgrading some units. Always upgrade your force first corps first, and I would recommend always investing in your first corps first and making it as powerful as you can. So Lorenzes, always a good one to have. Massive fan of Lorenzes. Can't afford that, sadly, but I can afford the Enfields. Enfields aren't too bad either. Springfields are good, but they're pretty expensive. And there we are. A fully leveled out force. Very strong, very powerful. Bearing in mind that if I hadn't tried the encirclement, this would be much more powerful. So the balancing mechanic begins again. 26,000 more men goes to Confederacy to keep the numbers pretty even. But for now, we've got to win the skirmishes. And I think after the skirmishes, we will end the fourth today. So the first one is the Thoroughfare Gap. Your main army is attempting to trap Jackson's left wing of the rebel army north of Manassas at Stony Ridge. Our scouts reported that Longstreet with the right wing is marching from the west to join with Jackson. We need to attack and crush Jackson before he is joined by Longstreet. Thoroughfare Gap is a good position to try and halt or delay Longstreet's advance. The main army is taking positions for the main assault, so you only have one division available, more or less. And it's a hold, it's a defense. This is a defense. Defenses are great for the Union and for the Confederacy because defense is you're not going to lose a lot of manpower if you do it right. And the best way to do this is to once again abuse the cover system or use the cover system, set up in the forests, overlooking the water, get the cannons in to form a nice pseudo battery, bring mildly to bolster your center, and bring the left to hold the left flank. And that is the go-to situation. Really, the only way this game can be really difficult on, say, medium difficulty is you're still learning the terrain and how to get the max to maximize the damage. So people will put their troops over there. This is a medium difficulty, so Brigadier General. So this is pretty easy for the Union. And no mods. Yeah, very easy, Brigadier General. Really, Confederacy, I would say the Union campaign is the easy. Medium difficulty for the Union campaign is easy mode. Then your medium difficulty is the Union campaign on hard mode. And then if you want hard is medium difficulty for the Confederacy. And then very hard is the Brigadier General. What's the highest? What's the legendary difficulty? I can't remember what the highest is called. You don't use the funny mod. I will use a funny mod when I do my Confederacy campaign because I didn't know it existed until now. So, have you ever read the theory crafting on the forums about no? Yes, I have. There's a very in-depth, the forums are very in-depth in regards to different micromanagement techniques and what do you call it, maximizing your balance and things like that. So there's many myths or many beliefs about min-maxing the game. The first min-max is not having brigades above 1,500 because if you have it above 1,500, then it tilts the auto balance, the rubber banding, the scaling of the enemy force against you. So you want to have about 1,500 for each brigade, which is also conveniently the best sort of size you want for brigades anyway. The other one is mini-maxing the number of skirmishes you should have in each force, and I think it's like 250. Yeah, skirmish spam. God, skirmish spam is so unfun. Skirmish spam is anti-fun. It's just like skirmishes are really micromanage intensive, but they can just do so much damage. I just refuse to use skirmishes. So skirmish spam is one of them. Yeah, no fun, only war, exactly. And the other one is going over 12 cannons. Apparently it loses its effectiveness. Like the scaling stops. Of course, you've got to bear in mind logic, well, what if some of your cannons get damaged? And things like that. But yeah, to mini-max, there's a long list of things you can do to mini-max the game. So I'm going to start withdrawing my troops left because we're starting to get pushed off. But I would think 1,500 is the best anyway because you get the easiest maneuverability and you can bring 2 corps instead of like 1. Or 2 brigades instead of 1, meaning that you can get 2 fires off instead of just 1. So you can see what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to get the range just on the river, because this is where they get the most damage done. And that's why I'm trying to farm damage. It's all about the damage farm. Yep, and you can sneak by with lower ranked leaders without effects hurting as bad. Yeah, exactly. And then moving up the cannons behind, because it will always go almost like a pattern. At the start of the game, the Confederate troops will charge you. If you can withhold the charge and inflict massive damage, the next time they charge, it'll be weaker. And eventually, if you can just keep holding and maximizing the damage, they just won't be able to charge anymore, and then you can counterattack. So you can see this charge, the cannons will fire into it, they'll rout, and then they'll charge again, maybe once or twice more. And from there, they will no longer be able to charge. I'm going to start moving up my left a bit, because the left is a bit vulnerable. But there's a lot of theory crafting about mini-maxing and abusing the AI. I would actually, as for the Confederate campaign, I would do some research on that, and I would do some of the mini-maxing, because medium difficulty Confederate campaign is brutal if you're trying to play the game the way it was intended. Like the Union scaling of some of the battles is ridiculous. Like the last battle, the Battle of Washington, the amount of Union scaling, even when you're abusing the game mechanics. Oh yeah, Chickamauga, yeah, absolutely. Chickamauga is a really hard one for the Confederacy. I think the turning point for the Confederacy is Gettysburg, because after that you'll slowly start getting less and less recruits. And the Union army will keep getting higher and higher. And so Gettysburg is really the turning point in terms of being able to lose troops. And then you'll just slowly start losing and losing men. So you want to have as many men on the field as possible before Gettysburg, and then it's about consolidating your forces. So I'm going to start retreating brigades up over here, counter the. But it can be very unfun because the mini maxing is you want to wipe the enemy army on every single battle. So after this battle is done, I want to continue to just delete this entire army, so I get the most guns, the most prisoners, and I reduce the enemy's forces. But it's not balanced, especially as a Union, because if you mini-max and wipe Confederate forces, then towards the end game, the Confederacy won't have any forces left, and Richmond becomes a meme. Richmond's just like, you feel bad about Richmond because it's such an easy battle. But if you're trying to play at least semi-normally, it's about abusing cover, getting as high as cover value as possible, and abusing the damage penalties. Or utilizing is probably the right word. Are struggling on the left a little bit, but this isn't a problem. Like, I can afford to lose this, whereas the Confederacy can't. Yeah, the Chickamauga is an absolute slaughter because you only get like two corps, and the Union has ridiculous amounts of troops. So you only be able to bring 2 corps out of what, your 3-4 corps army, and you have to attack through cover, and there's a little a choke point on that main road where where you just get brute forced by like 100,000 Union troops, and there's nothing you can do about it. And the only thing you can do is hopefully wear them down using cannons. And then finally, on the last part, you've basically got a YOLO rush with what's left of your southern army and just run to the capture points to get the victory. Otherwise you won't win. So like, you spawn on the south and you've got like 10 brigades, and you just have to run your brigades from the bottom of the map to the top, just like getting slaughtered and routing just to get there. Yeah, absolutely. Especially cavalry. Cavalry's absolute nightmare. The amount of times I've lost supply wagons to rogue skirmishers and losing like 50 grand investments. is too many times to want to talk about. But the Confederate campaign, the good thing about the Confederate campaign, it is challenging, and you do feel like when you do achieve a great victory, you do feel like it is very rewarding. Whereas the Union campaign is, you've got a nice, it starts off difficult, and if you can get past Gaines Mill, you're pretty much on the winning streak after Gaines Mill, and then you've got the confidence or the comfort knowing that you're going to win. And you can lose battles, you can do badly in battles, and it's not going to affect you. Whereas in the Confederate campaign, you can't afford to have a massive defeat, or you can't afford to have a really costly victory, because it will snowball, and that 15,000 men you can't have then will screw you over 10 battles down the line. So the Confederate one is definitely the salty spittoon of the campaign. Like, I don't think I've ever won the Confederate campaign on very hard difficulty. I've won it on easy difficulty, and I've won it on medium difficulty, but I've never won it on legendary difficulty because it's just so hard. Like, it is insane. Unless, of course, you crack out the skirmisher micro. At which point you might as well just not play. But there are ways and means to make the Confederate defences a bit easier. The one is use of cavalry in reserve, so like I've got my cannons in reserve, you can use your cavalry in reserve, and cavalry's not very good at charging, it'll take a load of casualties, but it's a good counter-charger. So if you get charged by, say, this Jenkins brigade, and you're in melee, if you send your cavalry charging in, you'll do massive amount of damage, and you can reform quite quickly. But this is an easy battle. Again, I'm not trying to cheese. I'm going to give the Confederacy some time to get good. So yeah, I think there's a lot of different gatekeeping stages of the campaign. So I think the first gatekeeping stage for the Union is Gaines Mill, to see if you check the box whether or not you've built the army properly. For the Confederacy, I think it's the first one's Antietam. Antietam's the first checkpoint to see if your army could still survive further down the line. And if it gets butchered at Antietam, then you might as well restart. Then you've got Gettysburg, which is, again, another check for the Confederacy, but you can win it in the first day, so actually it's more convenient for you to win it on the first day. You don't actually want to fight the whole Battle of Gettysburg, you literally just want to win the first day of Gettysburg so you don't lose men. And after Gettysburg, it's Chickamauga, that's the last gatekeeping phase, and then afterwards it's Washington. Chickamauga is really the last hurdle you have to get to. Easy victory, can't complain.
Yes, sir.
We're getting to the OP stage, as noticed above. And now we're going to spend money on the economy because I want to buy more weapons. So what do I want to do? So I've got Springfield, Lorenzes, Harper's Ferries, Napoleons. I like Napoleons because they're like shotguns. Get a nice Napoleon behind you and you can just splat everything. Springfields. Yeah, I'll buy some sweet Springfields. Harper's Ferries. Damn you. Okay, we are now officially poor. Used the palmettos I've got elsewhere to upgrade the other cores. And that should be that. You can meme it, like some of the farmers, they're garbage at range, but they're really good melee, so you could do a Union run because the manpower is so massive as a farmers only, and YOLO charging, but it's painful to watch. Rubber Band Mechanic, 3,700 more troops coming. And then Kettle Run. The rebels have bypassed a defensive line along the Ragnarok River to strike our supply line. Ero's division has been spotted at Kettle Run. Lead the division to attack and dislodge the rebels from their position. The rest of your army is needed to move to Manassas Junction. Oh yeah, here's another gatekeeping level. So if you haven't built a large enough army, you will really struggle to win Second Bull Run as the Union. That is a numbers game. It is a massive numbers game. Heroes deployed at Kettle's Run. Oh, I hate this map. Yeah, this is fun. Oh, do I hate this map? Nah, this map's easy mode. There's one map where there's nothing but where there's two forests and the Confederates hide within them and they're really hard defensive lines. And it's like you just lose men. When you get to 1864, the game becomes massacre simulator for the Union. And you just throw troops into defensive lines. Bull's Run is like that. Bull's Run will basically be a slaughter where you just have to throw troops in to capture the positions. Oh, second Bull's Run. That's what I meant, second Bull's Run. Hello. Go away. Hello, go away. Let the cannons do their thing. Oh, you're reloading. Let the team down there, Mr. Cannon. Ouch. Oh, that's good. I can live with that. I always use my first corps. Some people think you should generally train all your corps in every skirmish, but I believe the best way to doing it is leveling up just one corps, and the other corps are just there to be leveled up in the larger battles. Because when you get to the later stages of the Union, you'll be attacking a lot of defensive positions, and you'll be taking a lot of morale shock for your corps. And if your guys are pretty raw recruits, they'll take one volley or maybe two, and then they will retreat. So you need really good crack troops to take the volleys to break through. And if you don't do that, then you're going to struggle. Yeah, spend too much money. Now, early game, you don't really have to worry too much about leveling up your corps too much, especially as a Union, because it will do it automatically with the scale of victory. But as the game progresses, I would recommend probably not trying to get veterancy or trying to preserve veterancy with early on, because you still haven't got a high enough training stat. But once you've got a high enough training stat and you've maxed your training stats and you've maxed your economy stacks and you've maxed your medicine stacks, that's when you start trying to spend lots of money on preserving veterancy. Oh, yeah, this is a problem. Good old skirmishers out once again to bully me and take my supplies. No. Skirmish is the bane of my existence. And here we are. Fairly easy push because these guys are well trained and well equipped. Now my resupply wagon is back where it needs to be. I can bring back Porter to do his job. I could go and engage at There we are. Try doing that in Grand Tack and see what happens. What sort of cannons have I got? I should pay for Napoleons if I'm honest. Oh, go away, skirmishers. Stop bullying my supplies. Stop the bully, please. And end the battle. I could destroy his armies, but it's not fair. Yeah, we're getting to OP status. This is good. That is good, yeah. Union Medal. Yes, I'm a good boy. These are the sort of battles you want because you're gonna get a lot of veterancy and you're not gonna lose a lot of it. Yep. That's good. Everyone's full health, full health, full health. Time to start inflating the numbers. Artillery, Napoleons, infantry, and infantry. There we are, a big fat army. This is where we start upgrading. Harper's Ferry, Lorenzes, Napoleons, howitzers, palmettos. I don't think so. Springfields, I'll take that. This is good. We're getting pretty OP now. So we can do a numbers game here. Either focus on economy, which I'm probably going to do. My armor is already pretty healthy, so I can buy better stuff. I've already got Springfields. Palmettos, I don't think so. Springfields, I'll take the Harper's Ferry. Yeah, I'll take that. Harper's Ferry. Okay, I'm running out of money. Yeah, that's fine. Can I pay for more money? No, I can't. But I can get some of these. I'll take the palmettos. Why not? Lorenz, Palmetto, Springfield. Springfield. Springfield.
Yes, sir.
Palmetto. Palmetto. And that is that. We're good to go. Yeah, manpower is no longer a problem. More money on supply. So I may go to organization next to have even more troops, because I'm actually running out of guns to buy as well. They're going to get 3,700 more troops, and because of the previous victories, we have a 2.5% less army size, and again 2.5, so altogether 5% less army size. If I lose, I get 25, so I don't expect to lose this. If I do, I'll have to save scum, and draw, and victory. So, following the recent events of the Peninsula Campaign, Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson initiated a wide flanking maneuver and raided our supply depot at Manassas Junction. Our lines of communication with Washington was threatened and we had to abandon our defensive lines along the Rappahannock River. Jackson withdrew a few miles to the northwest and we followed his path with a good chance to entrap him. So we have our vanguard and our main army. Of course, if you've got more men, you can bring more, but there's no need. In this battle, you want to win as soon as possible, because the Confederacy will bring up reinforcements in the second stage. The Peninsula Campaign has failed and McClellan has withdrawn to Washington. Meanwhile, the rebels are raiding our supply lines. We must head north and consolidate our forces. Here we'll rally our army and we'll march north. Confederates are present in the area and are moving to the northwest. It's probably their cavalry. No one cares. All right, and here's just the initial. Here's initial skirmish. You don't actually have to worry about it. I don't think I've got to win this, but you can if you want to. Bring up the cannons and bring up mildly. I can't remember if I have to win this or not. If I to get a defeat. Because some of them you don't have to win. It's just a skirmish at the start. Cannons are here. Cannons will do their volley in a second, and this will rout the enemy. Ouch, 2 routs, not good. This is why you got cannons. And this is why you got more than 12. He's no problem. Apart from the fact I'm in the river now. Okay, maybe it is problem. Maybe it's problem. Yeah, maybe it's big problem. Very big problem. Very big problem. My troops are stuck and they're not retreating. Ouch. Yeah, this is bad. This is actually very bad. I can't get these guys to retreat, they're stuck. And these guys have just lost like half their force. Please retreat. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I'm going to restart. Cheese. I'm going to cheese it. I didn't know that. I thought I was going to lose. Oh, okay. I did not know, because it depends on the battle. Sometimes, like Gettysburg, if you lose the first skirmish, then you lose. I didn't actually know that, but I didn't want to risk it because it's been a while since I played. So I'm just going to chill here then. Hopefully it hasn't changed, because I know some battles you don't have to fight, but some battles you do. We will see with my cannons. Because these are the crack troops, so I don't really want to discard them. Let's find out. But the next stage of this battle is awful. You'll just lose the cream of your army in what is frontal charges. So what you need to do is basically punch through with reserves. And so we wait. You're gonna charge me? It sounds like you're going to charge me. There he is. What sort of cannons have I got? 10-pounders. Ugh, bruh. What is this? What is this? Unless it was changed to you can refill your regiments to max strength. But I think that has changed. I don't think you can refill. Or can you? I think you might be able to actually, if you've got the money. I didn't know that. That's a thing I didn't know. Yeah, I guess if you go to the army camp and then you can upgrade it that way. So this is why you want the cannons behind. Even though you will take friendly fire, it's not as bad as the damage you will inflict. Let's find out if we've lost. Okay, thank God we don't have to fight it. Yeah, so I guess if you go back to the camp, you can do it that way. Yes, you can. That is good.
Yes, sir.
But first I need to sell some guns. Yeah, feels bad, man. Can I? I need to. I can't sell guns. Bruh. Bruh. You know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. This is the pain train. This is where it starts. So the instant Braun farm reveals Stonewall Jackson's position. He is isolated and is trying to march south towards Richmond. That's a lie. The game's lying to you. He's formed a defensive line along the Stony Ridge. That isn't a lie. He has. And ending at Sudley Ford. Their left flank is the most suitable place to begin the attack. That's also a lie. We should send one division to guard our own left. That's a lie. Generally, in a few hours, we'll be able to mobilise our full army and outnumber Jackson at least 3-1. It is therefore advised to be cautious on our first assault. So, you are on a soft timer. You need to break through these mass defences to get to this objective to cap it before a certain phase in the battle where the Confederates reinforce with another massive corps and push you off the field. However, what you have here is 1 line of Confederate defence, 2 line of Confederate defence, and a final 3rd line of Confederate defence. And so, if you try and assault, you're going to get mass slaughtered. Now, after constant trial and error, I came up with an ingenious tactic to break through hard positions, and it's effectively human wave. So you send 1 wave, so you have like, I'll show you. You know what, I'll show you. I'll show you what it's like. You want spoils or no? Probably no spoils. I don't need it as a union. Oh, spoilers. Do you mean spoilers? I've played a game before. It's just that's been a while back since I've had memory. Yeah, you can spoil. Yeah, it's such an old game now. You can tell the boys what's going to happen. But this is a trick. So it gives you the illusion there's an easy way to win the match. Okay. Okay. There's a spoiler which is good. Yeah. Whoa, Hoffman. Now that's too much of a spoiler. Jesus. Damn it, Hoffman. So what you want to do here is you want to form a punch-through position. And through this punch-through position, you are going to punch through this wave and once these guys are out, you're going to move the second wave up. And that's how you're going to keep on going and slowly punching through until you get to the end, with every reinforcement's doing the same. Now this is probably too wide a wave, if I'm honest. I'm going to move this wave back a bit. then you want to bring the cannons up as close as possible, because the cannons are going to be your shotguns, and they're going to slowly move forward along with you. And then we're going to save scum in case I lose. And then you slowly start pushing like this. Enjoy. And if the first wave breaks, the second wave moves over and takes over. And so the first guy breaks, but of course you've got the reinforcements, you've got the cannons coming up. You can start slowly expanding. And then you halt and reform for the next assault. And this will be you for the most of this game now. Look forward to it. You bring up anyone that's routed, you bring them forward. And you try again once you've got the reinforcements up. And there we are. And we begin again. And you just keep doing it. Now you're probably going to collapse after this charge, if I'm honest. Because there's only so much you can do before it breaks, before your troops run out of steam. And there you have it. We've punched through the first wave. Well, almost punched through. Give it about 10 minutes. And then once again, you wait for the reinforcements to arrive. And this is why you've got to have these guys up to a certain level of veterancy, otherwise you're never going to break through, or they're going to rout before they break. Yep, there we are. And then the next phase. The human wave tactic, boys. The mistake here is to attack across the whole line. It's not going to work. It's going to take a lot of casualties. Your job is to punch through and get that objective. Start running. Bring the cannons up. Start bringing the troops down. Bring up any stragglers. Make sure we've got some troops on the flanks. But here we're probably going to reach the end of our ability to push now. Now we don't have to rely on firefights. But we've done so much damage already by the breakthrough, it's not bad. Breakthrough again, maybe, baby. Alright, final push. Charge! Yes, it's definitely going to damage the army long term, but you got to think, if I fought another day of this battle, would that be equal to the amount of casualties I face right now? So by doing this, I may potentially win the battle in the first or second stage. I won't have to fight the battle again. Like, this is going to win it in the first day. That means, of course, for me, that sometimes it's best to have a costly first day rather than a costly 3 days, if you know what I mean. So yeah, this is going to be costly, but on the grand scheme of things, I've only used 1 core. And it means I've dodged the second day, I've dodged the reinforcements, I've dodged what would have been a massive battle, and just won it in the first engagement, or almost in the first phase. But the cannons are what does it. You have the second wave, so the first wave takes a morale shock, then you have the second wave to get in melee, or get into shooting range, and then you have the cannons to be the shotgun effect. If you want to save it, I can show you. Yeah, I'll save the game. And then once we've won the battle, I'll reload, and you can show me the ultimate tactic. Might as well, as part of your streaming experience, so I can learn other tactics. Yeah, I suspect you can cripple it quite badly if you're playing on, say, on the hard difficulty. A route, but so we've got reinforcements. One, 0. So we took 4,800 casualties there for us and 4,500. Now, it does look very costly for the first brigades, and they will lose a lot of veterancy, but you will win quickly. And sometimes in these battles where you know that later on you're going to have a lot of enemy reinforcements, and you're going to end up with this massive battle that you actually want to win on the first phase. So I did get a lot of casualties. One guy died, sadly, but altogether not bad. So if I save the game and reload it where the ultimate strategy is. So what do you do on the second Bulls run? Yeah, it's a quick way because actually you're losing. It's the morale shock. The morale shock is doing more damage to you than actually the. Scroll down the map and follow the railroad. Oh no 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 no! You're a bad man. Oh, to the right. I thought you were in a camp for the enemy positions. Okay. Go back to the flag. Victory point. Yep. Okay, here's the victory point. Directly to the bottom of the screen, but just to the vertical forest. Yeah, okay. This chap here. Line up your whole army there. Okay. In that vertical forest next to the town. Ah, I see. So when the enemy counterattacks, you can mow down the enemy forces. Ah, that makes sense. First Brigade attacks up and right to the tiny clump of the forest. Second Brigade left into the trees. Okay. So then you form a defensive ring in the forest. So they have to attack you non-stop. Okay, so you fire up here to push these guys off, and then for the rest, when they counterattack, they have to push you off these trees. So basically, the trees form a defensive line. Oh, they'll charge through here. Right. Oh, they charge through there. And one's in the forest. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. But of course, I suspect this one takes a lot longer because you have to wait. So if I put troops, say, in here, in here, in here, and in here. So I put troops like all around here. Yeah, and you form an all-round defense. Okay, that's interesting. So you form basically like a little circle. With like a line down like that and there. Just need to leave 2 brigades near the top to keep those units pinned so they don't walk away. I see. And so this strategy is for the second phase with the Confederates counterattack. Oh, everyone's in there. Oh no, but these guys shouldn't attack you. But these guys shouldn't attack you. They should be playing defensive. Oh, you attack them through the vertical forest. Ah, so you farm them. Okay, so when you're firing in here, these guys will keep on reinforcing the defensive positions, and so you can just farm them. Okay. Yeah, I quite like my strategy because it's just so quick. Right in front. Okay. But how do you, once you've charged them, how do you get over here? Because you need to take this, do you need to take the objective point? Yeah, you need to hold a Stony Ridge. So once you've used your armies there, how do you get to this objective? Okay. And then you run your entire army to the forest. Oh, oh, I see. So you break this and then you just YOLO up here. That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. That's a funny strat. That's quite an amusing strategy. See, the problem with my strategy is dependent on army veterancy and army skill. If you've got too low a veterancy, these boys will rout before they even get to the enemy trenches. You need a pretty strong first corps. But once you've got that strong first corps, it's just easy mode. The game becomes a glorified easy mode. But that becomes my strategy for most of my attacks. It's just the human wave strategy. You just punch your way through. And sometimes the AI will help you because once you punch through, the AI will shuffle, so they can all get some shots off. It's a rather good one. You'll need it later on once you have to attack the enemy trench lines. But you can see what should have taken, what, 2 days and involved 2 cores only took 1 core. And that means, of course, there's only so many casualties I can take. What do I have? I've got money, I've got manpower. Let's do 1 in army org and 1 in economy. And then the army is forced to attack you for the victory. Yes. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Das, yeah. Das is good, yeah. So these guys are fully upgraded. It's time to fully upgrade the rest of the boys. And now the bullying really does begin. The thing about my strategy is that once you get to the very difficult, when you get to the highest difficulty, it can be a struggle to have enough manpower to pull it off and get enough manpower back. You've got to do it very, very cleverly, otherwise it's going to go very badly wrong. And if it does go wrong, it goes wrong. You will get butchered. So you need to have strong divisions to open that hole. Myths, why not? Oh, you're too expensive, cavalry. You're far too expensive for my tastes. But because you're the Union, you've got so much manpower, you can do whatever you like. Captured cannons? Any captured cannons? Nope. Oh well. And we move on to Antietam. So this will be the next gatekeeping. Normally it's a gatekeeping battle for the Confederacy. See if your army's big enough to sort of hold everywhere at once. But for the Union, it's not too bad a battle. But sadly, we are done for today, gentlemen, because I have work in the morning. So this was Ultimate General Civil War. I will finish off this campaign at a later date, probably tomorrow, because I don't have to go back and play Grand Tactician. But as you can see, it's a very good game. This is on the easier campaign, but it is on medium difficulty. So once we go to Confederate campaign, maybe with the mod, I haven't decided yet, this will get a lot, it gets a lot harder. Union is easy mode. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one, boys and girls, and I will see you guys later. Adieu.